Social 30-1, Chapter 6, The Greek Economic Collapse of 2009. This is a really good case study of an economy that didn't resort to neoconservatism when it really should have. So the reasons for the Greek economic collapse of 2009 were a few. Unrestricted government spending, uh, which every government does, but it went on too much for too long in Greece. Cheap lending rates. There was corruption. But then perhaps the biggest one is that they failed to cut government spending when they really should have. They didn't resort to neoconservatism when they really should have. So here are just some digits that I gave you to help you understand the collapse better. Their debt was bigger than their national economy. The debt was 120% of its total GDP, a budget deficit of 15%, which basically means that they were spending more than they were taking in through income tax by 15%. At its peak, unemployment in Greece was a whopping 29%, which actually is a depressionary level number, but probably a lot of people were working, but they were working for what is known as cash under the table. They weren't reporting their incomes to the government, which is actually income tax evasion. It's highly illegal, but there would have been a lot of that too. So probably it wasn't a full 29%, um, probably just in the high teens. Its GDP growth rate was actually measured with a negative digit. So just to give you a bit of perspective, a healthy economy might run at 2% per year. And what that means is that economy for that country grows at 2% a year, and that's a healthy economy. If the economy slowed economic growth from 2% to maybe down to only 1.5%, you would call that a recession, and that would be bad news. So imagine an economy in which you measure its GDP with a negative digit. And that's what was going on in Greece. These economies were actually, it was retracting. They were in bad shape. The results were a really low credit rating. So if you think back to the Big Short that we watched in class, triple C is a really low credit rating, which means that banks either won't lend you the money, or if they do, they charge really high rates of interest, which makes it expensive to borrow that money. This was threatening to bring down actually the entire European Union because the Greek economic instability was affecting the euro, the EU's currency. So the action that was taken to save Greece was actually over 3 government bailouts to this point. They were given billions of euros to stop the economy from imploding. They had to agree to austerity measures, which means cuts in government spending. Uh, they're cutting things like healthcare, education. People might lose their pensions or they have to work longer to get their pension. They raised income tax and they had to streamline their democratic government. Reactions, well, some of the Greeks, protested. They went on strike. There was general economic unease. It actually looked like it might even get worse for a while. To this date, the economy's recovered, but not by much. It's just a very good warning of what happens to an economy if you don't resort to neoconservatism, perhaps when you should. These are really effective numbers in argumentation regarding this. It didn't just happen to Greece. I mean, Italy went through this, Spain, Portugal, a few of the Western European democracies actually went through this. A lot of it is caused by an aging population that moves on to retirement, and there aren't enough young people to stimulate the economy. Thanks for listening.